Outside near dawn, in a small simple house, Lai-Tiu-Ka gently fed baby Han spoonfuls of porridge. The child smiled innocently, his eyes wide open as he looked at his mother. Looking at Lai-Tiu-Ka, I can't help but feel sorry. She knows no matter how difficult, she also had to try hard for her child. The next morning she woke up early. Prepare a basket full of star apples to bring to the market to sell. Ripe, fragrant star apples. But she had no mind to think about their taste. Money earned from this place. Maybe just enough to buy milk and food for the baby. Meanwhile, somewhere else, Lai-Tiu-Ka ex-husband enter the luxury villa of CEO Hung's family. He came uninvited, but full of confidence, as if he knew for sure he had something people should be wary of. Hung's father sat in the armchair, cold eyes looking at Duong-Keat. He doesn't like to deal with people like this, but saw the serious look on the other side. He also did not appear to be careless. Duong-Keat sat down, took a sip of tea, and smiled faintly. I am not here to cause trouble, but to warn you of one thing. Father Hung raised his eyebrows and did not answer. Mr. Hung's son is having an affair with Lai-Tiu-Ka. He said slowly, she is my ex-wife. But now he is getting special attention from his son. Father Hung frowned but did not show much emotion. So what? So what? Duong-Keat laughed. Don't you find it funny? A divorced woman with children. But his son kept running into it. His voice was full of contempt. But Father Hung remained calm. If my son wants to help someone, that's his business. Help. Duong-Keat laughed coldly. I don't think it's that simple. He clearly has feelings for her. Are you sure you want him to continue this relationship? Father Hung was silent. Seeing that he had not responded, Duong-Keat immediately curled his lips. Let me say it. If you don't stop Hung, I won't let him go. I can cause your company to suffer heavy losses. As soon as the threat ended, Father Hung's eyes turned cold. He is not the type of person to be easily pushed. But these words clearly reached his limit. Do you think you have the right to talk to me like that? His voice was deep and authoritative. Duong-Keat did not answer. Just smiled faintly, then stood up and left a sentence. Before leaving, you should think carefully. If not, I am not sure what the consequences will be. After the meeting, Father Hung called Hung into the study. He sat on the chair, looked at his son for a long time before speaking. Do you have a lover yet? Hung was a bit surprised by this sudden question, but still calmly replied, not yet. Father Hung nodded and asked again, so what is Lai-Tiu-Ka to you? Why do you care about her so much? Hung was a bit stunned but quickly regained his composure. Just you. I saw her struggling, so I helped her a little. Father Hung was silent for a moment, then said, friends you care about this much? Hung squeezed his hand. Actually, I love Lai-Tiu-Ka very much. But he knew his father would not accept. Dad, no matter what you say, I can't leave her alone. Hung's voice was full of determination. Father's eyes were cold and fierce. He is not an easily persuaded man. But seeing my son so tough, he said nothing more. This is your choice. But you should remember, once you make a decision, you must accept the consequences. Meanwhile, Lee Teo-ka was still quietly making a living. She woke up early to go to the market to sell star apples to earn money to raise baby Han. Even though it's hard, she still tries to smile every time she looks at her child. One day Hung went to her house but did not meet her. He stood in front of the house, his heart filled with disappointment. He wants to help her, want to be with her, but he knows this path is not easy. That day, Lee Teo-ka returned home. Baby Han happily sat on his mother's lap, nibbling on a small candy. Looking at her happy child, she smiled softly. But she didn't know that right outside, her ex-husband Do-eun-keat was quietly observing. He looked at the scene before his eyes and felt an indescribable feeling. He had a family, had a good wife and a lovely child. But because of his mistakes, he lost everything. His hand clenched. He wanted to turn back, but what to do? I know. My feelings for Lee Teo-ka are getting deeper and deeper. But his father still firmly prevented it. One side is the girl he loves. One side is family and work. What must I do to keep this love? And Do-eun-keat, will he let go or will he continue to cause trouble? What will be the fate of Hung and Lee Teo-ka? Hung drove slowly on the small road leading home. His mind was confused. Father's words still ring in my ears. Give up, I can't be with her. But Hung knows his heart. I can't turn my back on Lee Teo-ka. After leaving her house in the afternoon without seeing her, Hung decided to come back in the evening. This time he must meet her. Hung stood in front of the small house. The light inside was still on. He put his hand on the door. Lee Teo-ka opened the door and was surprised to see him. Hung, why are you late? Hung looked at her and softly said, I have something to tell you. Lee Teo-ka hesitated a bit, then invited him in. Small house, simple but cozy. Baby Han was fast asleep in bed. Hung looked at Lee Teo-ka with serious eyes. Lee Teo-ka, I know you are under a lot of pressure. But I want you to know that no matter what happens, I'm always with you. Lee Teo-ka smiled softly, but her heart was full of worries. Hung, please help me. I am very grateful. But I also know my father will not accept this. Hung sighed with determined eyes. He doesn't care what his father thinks. I only care about you and baby Han. Lee Teo-ka looked at him with emotion, but she knew it wasn't that simple. Do-eun-keat returns. Meanwhile, outside the window, a dark figure silently watched. Do-eun-keat hid behind a corner. His eyes darkened when seeing Hung and Lee Teo-ka sitting next to each other. His hand clenched. I lost her, but can I get her back? He wants to step in. Want to speak up, but don't know what to say. He remembers the old days when he betrayed her and she left him forever. But now when I see her with another man, his heart was filled with intense jealousy. No, I can't let her belong to someone else. Do-eun-keat took a deep breath, decided to go see Lee Teo-ka tomorrow morning. The next morning at Hung's family villa, Father Hung sat on the chair, looking at his son with a serious look. I heard you went to her house again last night. Hung did not deny it, just calmly replied. Yes, Father Hung put the teacup on the table in a cold voice. I told you you can't go out with her. This is not good for the family reputation. Not good for children. Hung clenched his fist but kept his voice calm. Father and son do not care about fame or anything else. I just know she's having a hard time and I want to help. His father stared at him and smiled faintly. Help her, I love her. Silent hero. His father laughed coldly. As we thought. But you should remember, if you don't give her up, our company will be in trouble. Duong Keat came to see me. He not only threatens but can actually take action. Smile faint sharp eyes. So Dad is going to do as he says? Let him manipulate our family. Father Hung said in a low voice. This is business, not personal. We cannot let our family suffer because of a woman. Hung looked at his father, his heart filled with disappointment. I knew this. But when he heard Father say it himself, he still felt heartbroken. I can't leave her alone. Hung spoke firmly no matter what his father said. His father looked at his son with colder eyes. If you do not listen to me, so don't blame me for using strong measures. Hung did not answer, just stood up and left. Meanwhile, Lai Tiu Ko was cleaning up the Star Apple stall at the market. Then a group of strangers appeared. A man walked up, threw a wad of money on her stall. You take this money and leave here. Lai Tiu Ko looked up and frowned. Who are you? That guy coldly smiled. It didn't matter. The important thing is that she should get out of Hung's life. If not, don't blame us for taking action. She looked at the pile of money in front of her and then looked at the man. Eyes full of anger. I don't need your money. The guy frowned and lowered his voice. Don't be stubborn, this is a warning. Having said that, he knocked over her stall and left. Li Zhaoke trembled with anger. She knew she was being threatened, but who was behind this? Is it Cha Hung or Duong Keat? When hearing that Lai Tiu Ko was threatened, Hung immediately rushed to find her. He saw her sitting cleaning the stall. Eyes red but still trying to act strong. Hung walked over and gently placed his hand on her shoulder. Lai Tiu Ko, are you okay? She looked up at him, tears about to fall. Hung, I don't want you to get in trouble because of me. Hung clenched his fists and his eyes were full of determination. No one can force us, do you believe me? Lai Tiu Ko looked at him for a long time, then nodded slightly. But they don't know that in a hidden corner, Duong Keat is looking at them. His eyes were full of calculation. Can Hung protect his love? What will Duong Keat do next? And how strong will Hung's father be? To separate two people,